Small business copped a kick in the teeth recently, just what small business needs right now, with the passing of Albo's new Fair Work Law amendments. There's a new definition of casual worker. According to employment lawyers at the law firm Baker McKenzie, when the changes come into effect, employers won't be able to rely simply on the terms and conditions of a contract to determine whether an employee is permanent part-time or casual. The practical reality of the working relationship could mean that the employee is not a true casual. To avoid getting into trouble, employers will need to periodically audit their casual arrangements to ensure they remain appropriate. Yeah, that's great if you're a big corporation. Absolutely disastrous if you're a small business and want to have a couple of people to help out every now and again and don't have time for the micromanaging administrative BS of a meddling, over-intrusive government. I mean, it's all probably fair and makes perfect sense when you get into the nitty-gritty, but honestly, who's got time for that when you're trying to run a small business and stay afloat? This madness of these petty bureaucrats has got to stop. I know heaps of wealthy Aussies who could be starting and growing businesses and employing kids and creating jobs and contributing to our economy. They've just given up. They can't be stuffed because of our petty bureaucrats and lawyers who suck off the productive members of our society. Liberal Party Senator Paul Scarr rightly pointed out in Parliament a few weeks back that the Fair Work legislation amendment is going to impose yet another burden upon small business. There are over 2 million small businesses in Australia, and they employ 40% of all Australians who don't have an internal legal department in those small businesses to support them like the big corporations do. Senator Scarr pointed out that there are now 25 steps needed just to define the term casual employee.
The small businesses who don't have hordes and hordes of lawyers ready to support them or multi-billion dollars of capital, the small businesses who are just hanging on by their fingernails. And I want to give you just one example of that. One example of how I think this legislation is going far too far. I think the issues that have been identified could have been addressed without going this far. And I want to give you one example of that. 25 steps of mental gymnastics for a small business who's hanging on by their fingernails to try and determine whether or not one of their employees is a casual employee.
Now, don't worry, I'm not going to play you all 25 steps, but you get the idea. Let's just look at one step, though. And if you can follow this, folks, you're a genius.
We've got to consider real substance, practical reality, true nature, and on the basis that a firm advance commitment can be in the form of the contract of employment. Okay, so I can look in my contract of employment. That's easy. That's step number 3. But if it isn't in my contract of employment, I've got to go to step 4, which is these words. Irrespective of the terms of the contract, in the form of a mutual understanding or expectation. So it's either an understanding or expectation between the employer and the employee, not rising to the level of a term of a contract or to a variation of such terms. So it's something nebulous.
Yeah, it's something nebulous, all right. It's something to take a small business person away from their family and kids and life for another hour a week trying to work out. Honestly, get lost. Just get lost, the lot of you. Meddling, moronic bureaucrats in unproductive jobs driving everyone else in the country who's trying to be productive utterly mad. Take your little rule books and shove them. We need to boot this government to high heaven. This over-governing nanny state insanity has got to stop or there'll be no jobs because there'll be no employers left. These sorts of ridiculous laws that don't exactly tell you what they require you to do or not do, but just leave you kind of guessing, remind me of that classic sketch by the brilliant Aussie comedian Carl Barron that's been doing the rounds on social media lately.
Like you ask someone how they are in Australia, they don't tell you how they are. They tell you what they're not. And you got to guess the rest. Hey, mate, how you going? Oh, not bad. What have you been doing? Oh, not much. Where is this place? Oh, it's not far. When are we going? Oh, not long now. How much was that, mate? Wasn't cheap. This old bloke who lives next door to me, he only ever tells me part of a story. Saw him the other day, go, "How you going, Johnny?" He goes, "Not feeling too bloody good, mate. I'll tell you that much."
You got to think about that last one a little bit. Carl Barron there. I don't believe those conspiracy theories that Google and YouTube are suppressing right-wing content. I think they're fair to everybody. Let's prove that right. Get onto that subscription button down there and press it, get the bell pressed, and watch the full episodes here. Have a look at pressing that button too. I mean, there's so many buttons to press to subscribe. Just subscribe.